Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have an article here coming from Sputnik where the Japanese think that they will fool the Russians again. I don't think the Japanese really care what the Russians think, but at least for the public opinion, they will make some statements. If you're familiar with the issue, the Americans, the guys in charge of Japan actually, told the Japanese that we need you to change a policy by which you can give us weapons only to us. And the Japanese did it the next day. And the Americans told them to give them some Patriot missiles. That will give to Ukraine after that. That's how the media was saying. United States tells Japan, Japan gives them missiles. Somehow the United States doesn't have the missiles anymore. I don't know, 880 some billion dollars in defense budget, and you don't have some freaking Patriot missiles. Anyway, the Japanese go immediately vote and change the whole policy only for the United States of America. And they said they will give them the Patriot missiles. The Russians said, well, grave consequences for this. We're going to hurt you. And I made a video on that one talking about the Kuril Islands and probably the big missiles, probably nuclear weapons deployed right there in the Kuril Islands or in Sakhalin. I made a video with some maps as well, so you can go and check it out. Japan humiliated itself again by bowing to the master. And I'm using these words because I know the Japanese culture and I know how much they like that. So they humiliated themselves. It's a humiliation. Anyway, and now after the Russians said that's going to be grave consequences, the Japanese ambassador comes and said, actually, those missiles will not go to Ukraine. And they expect the Russians to believe that. You know that Japan has no say in where those missiles go. They jumped as high as possible. They changed that policy overnight. They will give the Americans the missiles. The newspapers for about 3 or 4 days before that happened said those missiles could be sent to Ukraine, will be sent to Ukraine, blah, blah, blah. And now they come out after Russia said, we're going to fuck you up. They come and say, well, actually, we're not going to give it to Ukraine. It's not up to you. You just sit down over there and say za, right? And you sit over there and you bow towards the American boss. That's what you're going to do. Why? Because you did it before. You're not an independent country, unfortunately. I feel sorry for Japan. I like Japan. I love Japan. Anyway, but here is the article. Sputnik is from today, the 28th of December 2023. Japan's ambassador assures, verbally I'm guessing, right, that Patriot missiles will not be used in Ukraine. Remember when the Russians told the Americans, the Western countries, hey, remember you said you're not going to expand 1 inch eastward the NATO? You know what was the Americans' answer in December 2021? Do you have any legal binding document signed? And the Russians said, we thought that you could be trusted in your gentleman, as you pretend to be. And we thought it was just a gentleman deal or gentleman understanding. Or And Putin, if you remember, if you don't, I tell you, I made a video on this a few days ago. Putin has only one regret. He said, if I were younger, if I would meet the younger me, I would give me one advice. Do not trust the West. So that means he knows he got duped. He said, I trust the West too much and I shouldn't have. Well, it's good that you didn't end up like Gaddafi and then right there to think, too late now. You're still in power. So maybe you can change 1 or 2 things. Again, Japan thinks and for good reasons. I mean, if you're a retard a few times, why not the whole neighborhood thinks that you're a retard? There you have it. So of course, I assure you, you can stick that in your ass, Japan's ambassador. The Patriot missiles transferred from Japan to the United States will not be used in Ukraine. Japanese ambassador to Russia, Akira Muto, said on Thursday. Means nothing. It's like I tell you, hey, I will give you tomorrow how much money you want. I give you all the money you want. Everything. I love you. It's zero. Last week, the White House confirmed the Japanese authorities' decision to transfer Patriot missiles to the US, saying it would contribute to enhancing Japan's security and peace in the Indo-Pacific region. How? Muto, and I'm quoting, stated that the decision to transfer the missiles was made solely for the sake of Japan's security. Blah, 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 blah. Peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region, and that the use of missiles is not envisaged in Ukraine. Muto said during a meeting with Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Andrei Rudenko, as cited by Japanese embassy in Moscow. That means zero. Japan will continue to strive to create favorable security conditions like this that I'm doing for the country, as well as dialogue and ties in relations with Russia, the embassy added. Now, if Russia falls for this, then they deserve to, I don't know, I guess, be divided in five as the West wants, taken their nuclear weapons and their culture garbagized, I make a word, garbagized like this one right here, and most Western Europe, which is with garbage culture, with, how do you call it, perverse ideologies. So, you know, I don't think they will fall for it. And what I would do, I would say, okay, well, no problem. We're going to make sure that we have peace in the Indo-Pacific. And we're going to deploy about, I don't know how many nuclear weapons, nuclear missiles in Sakhalin and in Kuril Islands as well. And we're going to keep peace, guaranteed. And if they say that's not how you keep peace, I say, don't tell me what to think, right? And I would say, no, I swear God that I will do that. I will just defend, and I will defend you as well. I will bring some S-400s for you, not S-300s, S-400s. Well, if the Russians didn't get burned yet enough, I don't know what to say. It's a little bit too late for being naive or to play nice. How they were naive? NATO got from where it was to its borders. And then when this guy said, wait a minute, let's make some little something on the paper, some legal binding documents that you guarantee our safety and security, those guys said, why don't you go and play your violin at a different table? And what did they do? Okay, well, then unprovokedly we have to defend ourselves. And they knew. The Western guys were not idiots. They had advisors, not the ones that you see, those Jack Sullivan and whatever, Kirby or whomever, those garbage. They have other ones. And they were told, and they knew, once you'd cross this line, and they knew the Russian society. It was openly discussed. It's a red zone. It's a war. It's a war. It's a battle. And the Americans said, yeah, we're not going to have any problems doing that. It's going to be you and the Ukrainians, which they don't seem to care about either of them. But the cousins / brothers are fighting for those guys' interests because propaganda works just fine. All right, my friends, all right. I don't think the Russians will fall for it. And if they will fall for this, you'll hear from me in a specific way. Thank you very much for being me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.